The movie begins with a girl running toward her boyfriend at the airport and kissing him. Her name is Emily Freyhigh. A boy named Oliver Martin also arrives at the airport with his suitcase. His sister, whose name is Ellen, drops him at the airport, says goodbye, and leaves. He is going to catch his flight when he notices Emily and her boyfriend arguing and fighting at the music band in which they work together. Oliver is sitting at the airport, hearing music on his headphones, and observes Emily. She looks at him back and witnesses him looking at her. They both get on the same plane leaving for New York. The air hostess approaches Oliver and asks if he needs anything. Suddenly, juice spills on Oliver's shirt. He excuses the air hostess and goes to the bathroom to clean his shirt. He hears a knock at the door and opens it. He sees Emily standing outside. She pushes him into the bathroom and kisses him. She comes out of the bathroom and sits on her seat. A few moments later, Oliver also comes out and sits on his seat. When they both arrive at their destination, Oliver sees Emily sitting alone. He approaches her and introduces himself. He tells her his name, but she acts differently and says that she does not want to talk to him as it will ruin their secret. He tells his name to her again, but she mocks him for keep telling his name. They both wait at the train station and waits for the train to arrive. Emily lights up her cigarette and smokes. Oliver stands beside her and asks about what happened to her with her boyfriend. He calls her boyfriend Bon Jovi. She informs him that his name is not Bon Jovi. She is reluctant to talk to him but lets him know about her ex-boyfriend. She shares that the guy he saw her with is her ex-boyfriend now and he plays guitar. They get on the same train and sit together. While Emily minds her own business, Oliver starts talking to himself, thinking that she might talk too. He tells himself that he is going to New York to meet his brother who studies in law school. Emily smiles and questions him if he also wants to go to law school. He informs her that he has just graduated but doesn't have a job. Emily asks him about his zodiac sign and he tells her his sign is Cancer. Soon, Emily's destination arrives. She says bye to him and leaves the train. Later, Oliver also reaches his destination. He sees his brother waiting for him and hugs him tightly. They meet each other very happily. His brother is deaf. He introduces Oliver to his girlfriend and they talk in signs. Suddenly his girlfriend starts to talk and Oliver gets to know that she is not deaf. Oliver goes to buy a jacket for himself but ends up buying a sweater. He is walking on the street when he sees Emily smoking across the street. He goes to her and suddenly talks to her. Emily is surprised to see him, and she questions if he is stalking her. Meanwhile, they have a chit-chat and Emily's parents arrive. She throws the cigarette away. Her father's name is Brent and he greets Oliver. Emily's stepmother Christine also greets him. Emily excuses her parents, saying that she doesn't want to go to the museum. Her father tells her that Christine took an off from work. She excuses them that Oliver has test results coming today, and she has to go with him, so her parents let her go. She walks with Oliver and they have a little conversation. Oliver tells her that it was a bit embarrassing for him because Emily made a foolish excuse. Emily asks why he cares about her dad while he informs her that they might become a thing in the future. Emily lets him know that he is not her type and they are never going to be a thing. He informs her that he doesn't want a girlfriend anyways as he wants to get success in life. He tells her that he wants to build his future by focusing on his career and studies. He will get a job, a nice car, and has a bright future. He tells her that he will be successful in the next 6 years and by then he expects to find his dream girl. Emily looks at him and smiles. She stops, and Oliver looks at her while she removes his muffler. She tells him that he is attractive enough to find a girl. Later, they both go to a bar. They drink in the middle of the afternoon. Oliver pays for the drinks and informs Emily that he has to owe him money after 6 years. Emily tells him she doesn't believe in getting successful in 6 years, and that it can take more years. Oliver assures her. He gives her his parents' phone number and asks her to call on this number 6 years later. Oliver's parents will give her his number and she can talk to his wife and pay him back. They both go out and Oliver clicks some random pictures of the area. Emily takes his camera and starts to click his photos. They stay together till night and come near a lake. Emily informs him that she has to go. She hands over his camera to him. She steps forward and kisses him. Oliver tries to say something but she orders him not to speak as it will ruin the kiss. 3 years later, Emily has a boyfriend named Peter. One morning, she makes love to him and he goes to sit on his laptop to work. Emily receives a call from independent filmmakers. She talks to them over the phone and is very excited about it. She informs Peter about it and asks him to help her to choose what to wear. Peter collects his stuff and informs her that he can't continue the relationship anymore and leaves. Later, Emily goes to give the audition. She also meets some of her female friends and goes to the seashore. She tells them about Peter dumping her before Christmas and New Year's Eve. Her friends console her and tell her that she is better off without him. They are concerned about Emily being lonely on Christmas and New Year's Eve, so they advise her to go on a blind date. Later, Emily is calling to several people, seeing the numbers from her diary. She suddenly comes across Oliver's parents' number, which he gave to her in a bar. She picks up the phone and decides to call his parents. She hesitates to call him first, but she calls and his mother receives the call. She asks her about Oliver and his mother gives the phone to Oliver. Emily asks him if he remembers her and he tells her how could he not. While they both are talking, his sister keeps interrupting him on the call. It makes Emily laugh, but she controls it. She asks him if he would meet and have a coffee with her. He says yes and asks for her address. Emily gets ready for Oliver to arrive at her house. Suddenly the doorbell rings and she opens the door. She finds another man standing instead of Oliver. He pretends to be Oliver. Emily is surprised and tells him that he is not Oliver. Oliver comes out of the bushes and meets Emily. The man was his brother and he was just joking with her. She invites Oliver inside her house. She looks at him and suddenly starts to kiss him. Oliver desperately kisses her back and tries to take off her shirt. Emily interrupts their kiss and asks what he would like to drink. She tells him that she is not the same desperate girl she was 3 years ago. She does not sleep with anyone after her breakup. Oliver starts to search for her pills in the kitchen cabinets and drawers. He informs her that she might have forgotten to take her crazy pills. That's why she is acting so intensely. At night, they go to a restaurant to have dinner. Emily asks him about staying at his parents' house and just 3 years away till he gets rich. He informs her that he is moving and has his diaper business. He is just visiting his parents' house. Later, in the restaurant, Emily eats her food. She acts to get the choke. Oliver sees her doing the act but enjoys his food and does not help her. She rests her head on the table and acts to faint. When Oliver doesn't react, she raises her head and agrees to tell him about Peter, her ex-boyfriend. She informs him that he dumped her and that they met in an acting class she has been taking. They both sit in their car and Emily questions him about his plan for New Year's Eve, which was later that day. He informs her that he is not really into New Year's Eve nor he celebrates it. Emily tells him that she knows a place, a party where they can go. They excitedly get off the car and Emily takes out some clothes from the back of the car. He is surprised to see that she has clothes in her car. She gives a shirt to him and asks him to change. She goes behind a trash can and changes into a dress. While Oliver changes his shirt, she looks at him being shirtless from behind. They both go to the party. She meets her friend, Michelle, and her fiancé, and introduces them to Oliver. Oliver meets them and makes an excuse to get a drink, while Emily is busy chatting with her friends. Suddenly, she spots Peter with a girl. They are standing close, which makes her jealous. She goes away and sits down with her friends. They inform her that Peter is kissing the girl. She drinks a couple of glasses and goes to find Oliver. She grabs him and takes him to the dance floor. Suddenly, slow music plays. Emily wraps her hands around Oliver's neck and slowly dances. She looks at Peter and he is dancing with his girlfriend too. She excuses Oliver to go to the restroom. When she arrives back, she sees a lot of people and can't find Oliver. She stands where Peter and his girlfriend were dancing. The announcement begins, as there were only a few seconds left in New Year. The clock strikes 12 and the new year begins. Peter kisses his girlfriend while Emily just stares at them. All of a sudden, Oliver arrives and kisses her passionately. Later, at night, Oliver takes her to his place. She sees no furniture in his apartment and asks about it. He informs her that he told her earlier he was moving. He reminds her of his business in San Francisco. He further tells her that he will leave the next day. Emily tells him that when she started liking him, he is moving away. She looks at some of the boxes and finds his camera. She clicks his pictures and keeps the camera in the box again. She finds a frame in which Emily's picture was there, which she clicked earlier with him in New York. She shows the frame to him and he informs her that he liked the picture. He steps forward to put the frame back in the box. He comes closer to Emily and she kisses him. While they are kissing, Emily excuses him, grabs her purse, and runs to the bathroom. Meanwhile, Oliver prepares himself to finish what they have left off in between. He takes a glass of wine and waits for her. After some time, he calls out her name, but she does not respond. He goes to check in the restroom and there he finds her sleeping on the floor. He picks her up in his arms and put her on his bed. The next morning, Emily wakes up and finds herself on Oliver's bed. She notices that she is in a nightsuit and not what she was wearing the night before. Oliver leaves her a note with a gift for her. It is his camera. 2 years later, Oliver lives in San Francisco with his girlfriend. He works in a factory of manufacturing diapers. One day he returns home and his girlfriend, whose name is Bridget, questions him if he has bought wine. He tells her that he forgot to buy it. His girlfriend tells her that she thinks he is not there even when he is present there. She tells him to take a break from their relationship. Emily is at a CD store picking a CD when she bumps into a man. His name is Ben. He wanted to pick the same CD as hers and they both argue. Ben recognizes her and tells her that he saw her at Michelle's wedding. She gives him the CD and tells him that it was nice to meet him. When she returns home, she sees Oliver sitting in front of her house. She meets him and invites him inside. Oliver sees some pictures on the shelf. She tells him that she is a photographer now and does photography for different occasions. She is excited to see him back and calls Michelle and tells her about Oliver suddenly showing up on her doorstep. She goes to Oliver and pours him a drink. He tells her about his ex-girlfriend who broke up with him because she couldn't compromise, as she wanted to be his #1 priority. While he's talking to her, suddenly Emily's phone rings and Michelle asks her how is everything going with Oliver. Emily hops from her place and jumps to receive the voicemail. She orders Michelle not to call her till Oliver's gone. She comes downstairs and sees Oliver leaving. Oliver offers to eat pancakes with her. They go to a restaurant. Emily does funny acts to make him laugh, but he is in a serious mood because of his breakup. She tells him to let her go and smiles. Suddenly, they are interrupted by a woman named Gina. She meets Emily and asks to talk to her. All of a sudden, Peter approaches Gina, and Emily sees them together. Oliver meets Peter and they leave. Emily is pissed to see Peter there and asks Oliver to leave the restaurant. While Emily drives north, Oliver tries to cheer her up and asks her to smile, as she is not in a good mood because she saw Peter at the restaurant. She laughs at Oliver's funny acts. Oliver talks to Emily and tells her more about Bridgerton. He informs her that he worked day and night very hard and moved with Bridget into her house. He assumes that it was his mistake to move in with her. He recalls her plans as they would go on trips and she would plan every small detail. While he just talks about his ex-girlfriend, Emily plays a song and starts singing along with it. She does not listen to Oliver. He stops talking about her and starts to sing too. They stop at a gas station. Oliver goes to buy snacks and they go to lie under the sky in a national park. While they are laying, Oliver questions her if she loves Peter. She confirms that she does a little. She questions if he loves Bridgerton. He is confused about it and says maybe. Emily takes her camera out and sets a timer. They both undress and stand on a small hill. She comes closer to Oliver and kisses him. They both get into the car and make love to each other. They fall asleep in the car undressed. The next morning, the sheriff spots the car in the national park. He wakes them up and orders them to get dressed and go on the highway as they were in a national park. While they head home, Oliver informs her that he has to go to a meeting in New York, which will be beneficial for his business. Oliver gets ready to leave for New York and Emily leaves him in the taxi. While going, he tells Emily that he has feelings to sort out about Bridgerton and he can't forget about her. Emily informs that she met someone too. Oliver is a little surprised to hear about the new guy she's pretending to meet with. Soon, the taxi driver arrives. Emily hugs Oliver and tells him goodbye. Oliver arrives in New York and gives a presentation about his company's latest diapers. He hesitates to give the presentation and stutters, but he gives it anyways. After the meeting, Emily calls him and asks if he's still in New York. She asks him to drop some flowers on a grave. It is her mother's grave who passed away young. She informs him that it is her birthday. Oliver arrives at the graveyard and keeps the flowers on the grave. He talks to her as she was crying and told her a joke to lift her mood. She laughs at his joke and thanks him. Oliver is sitting at the airport waiting for the flight to Los Angeles. He is thinking about something when the woman arrives and questions him about leaving for Los Angeles. He talks to the woman and tells her about Bridgerton. He speaks his heart out with her about how he wants his business to be successful, but Bridgerton isn't happy with that. However, the woman again questions him if he will leave for Los Angeles, but he changes his mind and says no. Oliver goes to San Francisco instead. He sits at his office with his business partner named Jetty and they wait for the business offer. All of a sudden, the phone rings and Oliver receives it. He gets to know that their company got the offer and now they are going to be rich. 1 year later, Oliver shut down his diaper business. He has moved back to Los Angeles along with his stuff to live with his parents again. He walks down the street and spots an art gallery. He recognizes a picture and goes inside the gallery. He sees the same pictures which he saw on Emily's shelf in her house. He also sees his picture with Emily which they clicked at the national park while they were kissing. He asks the manager about when does the artist visits there. The manager informs him that she has left a few minutes ago. He waits for Emily in front of her art gallery across the street. Later, he goes to the beach with his brother. His brother is married and has a kid named Chris. He talks to Oliver and signs and tells Oliver that he should get married and have kids too. While he informs him that he had the plan, but instead he is 30 years old and still living with his parents. His brother motivates him to get back on his feet again. Oliver goes to Emily's house along with the guitar. He sings a song for her. She comes out and sees him singing for her. After he finished his song, he tells her that he is broke, lost his job, and has no plans. He asks her if he can get her back. She looks down and says no. He assumes that she is married when she informs him that she is engaged. She offers him to come inside the house, but he refuses. She tells him that she has to go look after the baby, which she babysits for Michelle. As Oliver is about to leave her place, she hugs him tight and he leaves. 6 months later, Emily is living with her fiancé, who is Ben. One day she is packing her stuff from the shelf when she notices a camera film. She takes out the pictures from the film and shows them to Michelle. It was Emily's photos that Oliver clicked before they met at the airport going to New York. She informs Michelle that he made the first move. Michael interrupts their conversation and asks Michelle to come with him for buying a suit. They both go to the shop and Michael tries on different suits. Suddenly, Michelle sees Oliver there. She steps closer and hears his conversation with the sales manager. She gets to know that he is buying a suit for his wedding. At night, Emily is sitting alone smoking a cigarette when Ben approaches her and asks if she had quit smoking. She informs him that she did. She looked tense, so Ben asks her what was wrong with her. The next morning, Michelle arrives with her baby at Emily's. She asks about how her packing was going as she is moving with Ben. Emily informs her that she is not moving anywhere as she has broken up with Ben. Michelle feels sorry for her and tries to make her understand that it is natural to be nervous before getting married. Emily tells her that she has to do this. She picks up the phone and tells Michelle that she is going to call Oliver. Michelle informs her that she saw Oliver and he is getting married. Emily questions her about when is he getting married. Emily calls a person who would help her find Oliver's parents' house and give her the address by using his parents' phone number. She hurries and rushes to his parents' house. On the other hand, Oliver is getting dressed in a suit for the big day. Emily steps into the house and sees a lot of crowds, who are Oliver's friends and family gathered for his wedding. All of a sudden, she sees him and he notices her too. He walks toward her to talk to him, but she starts to run away. Suddenly, she bumps into a glass door and falls. People come around her, and Oliver arrives and picks her up. He asks how she got the address, and she tells him that she got information through his phone number. A man calls for Oliver as everybody waits for him. Emily excuses him and tells him that she should go. She runs out of his house and goes to sit in her car. Oliver follows her and calls out her name. She turns around and tells him that it is too late. Oliver moves closer to her, holds her from the back, and kisses her. All of a sudden, the bride and the guest come out of the house and see him kissing Emily. Emily is embarrassed to ruin his wedding. The bride removes her veil and Oliver tells her that it is not late, as he's not getting married, his sister is. His sister goes back inside and says to start the wedding without Oliver. Emily has tears in her eyes. She holds him tight and kisses him passionately.